Off this top screen because you know why. Hi everybody, discussing tabletop. December 11th. The year was in front of me and I blanked out on it. Yeah, that's how good I am today.
Dates 40, 30.
Oh God. Got a docket today of some interesting topics, and I think the big one is I did go to a day of PAX Unplugged, and I want to talk about that. And I guess I don't have this stuff. I forgot to bring stuff upstairs, which is something I did forget because I got a couple of things. But I can talk about my experience there, and I do want to reflect upon conventions a little bit, but maybe I'll save that for like the deeper discussion later on. Because my deeper discussion, I put it as the convention. So I'll tell you, my experience there was fairly good. The thing about I took a car to a train station. The trains all masks. It wasn't super crowded, but you know, it is a train. It is public transportation. You always worry about transportation nowadays, but people are flying and doing it a lot. So I don't know. At this point in time, the convention, you needed to be vaccinated. I got this nice little like bad wrist thing here that you're supposed to wear on your wrist whenever you were there, which is they saw my vaccine card.
Okay.
So that you have to bring a photo ID and a vaccine card, and once you get the one, you don't have to get it again the entire weekend, which is the good thing too. So you only have to get the vaccine check once. I got my badge okay very quickly. I didn't have to wait any lines. I got in there right around 10. I did see a message about there was some issues with some lines today, so it sounds like a lot more people were trying to come today. Also reassures me that maybe today wouldn't have been a great day to go. I guess more people could go on a Saturday.
I had to actually check to remind myself what day it was.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear about the vaccine, that they were checking to make sure people are vaccinated.
Yeah. That was something they announced ahead of time, and you're wearing a mask the entire time. The only time I messed around with my mask was to take a drink the entire time. Oh, and I snacked on a bar. But I would, pick it up, take a bite, put it back down kind of thing, Didn't take it off. It was smaller than the last time I was there. For sure. The last time I was there, the convention center has 3 big halls that they can combine together. They had Hall C was like the free play area with a bunch of tables. They also have like all the tournaments in there. So it's like just gaming table setup you have to think of Hall C as. Mm-hmm. They have a couple other things, like I think you have like they have some like testing areas for board games, and they have the Magic tournament area, but they all always have that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Then B and A are the show floor. Only about half of A was taken up. And I have to say, for the last couple of years they had the show, all of A was taken up.
Mm-hmm. So there's less... Are those company booths, or...?
Yes, mostly company booths. PAX usually has their merch booth in the area, but after that it's a lot of companies, which I recognized a lot of them. Like, there's certain ones I didn't see there. Like, Modiphius didn't have a presence, but I didn't think they would. They're European-based.
Fair.
Wizards does their Magic tournaments. That's about it. But they're also partially sponsored by someone else. They don't really show up. But people like Steve Jackson Games was there, Arcane Wonder, Free League Press, the dozens of others that like I could probably say their names and be like this, where I could look at a list and see like, hey, these are all big companies I know. Now I will say there were some big companies that I know about that weren't there. And medium ones too, like Brotherwise wasn't there. The people that do Boss Monster. I don't think some of, but not all of. Is it Alderac? That's the group of a bunch of different ones. So like Come On Games, Z-Man Games, Whiz Kids. None of them were there because they're all under like a bigger company. They're all like smaller companies under it. I know. And I don't know how many of those were present.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of board games on display. You could test a lot of board games, a lot of people. There were some more merchandise-based booths, a couple of those, a couple booths just selling things like just groups of board games because they're more like selling companies that got a booth, like Cool Stuff Inc. They're the big name I recognize, and the show floor was pretty packed.
Okay.
So, but it wasn't like so full like you're like elbow to elbow with people. At least yesterday it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I never felt like I was closed in by a lot of folks. Now, up in the media room, upstairs, I went a couple walks the show floor. And in between it, I made note that it definitely felt like there was less people, at least on the Friday. Mm-hmm. Again, I didn't go today. I'm not there right now. I don't think I physically could have, honestly.
That or they've recreated a very convincing recreation of your room at the conference, which would be, quite impressive.
I mean, honestly, they have a pretty decent Wi-Fi. I probably could have set up a laptop and tried streaming it. People do stuff
Fair.
like that.
I don't know where they'd get that wallpaper, though. I don't think they make that anymore.
No, this wallpaper is like... Honestly, I think it was here before I was in this room. So, like, way before.
Which makes the recreation all the more impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who's never actually gone to PAX or any other conference, for room A or hall A, I can't remember what exactly you call it, but
hall A.
Usually it'd be entirely full, right?
They'll kind of set it up that they'll have rows, and then like they'll have some like I guess like rows of booths, and they usually have like a main middle, one or two main middle columns that are like, so you have some traffic, so you have these like sets of 6 to 8 booths that are kind of like rectangle together, and there's booths of different sizes. Towards the edge of A, there's smaller booths, while towards B in the free play area, they've got some pretty large ones that could take up an entire thing of all 4 of those, so they could set up some big tables, and have like 4 or 5 people showing off games rather than you've got 1, maybe 2 kind of small tables that are setting up.
Mm-hmm.
People do things to squeeze space in there,
but usually like everything would be set up like for hall A. It wouldn't be half empty.
Yes.
Okay.
The dealers are allowed to get in actually on Thursday and set everything up, or the people on the show floor, I should say, really.
Is it a situation where any company that would be there is already guaranteed set up, or is it possible that some of them this year were like, we'll just show up on Saturday, or is that just not something that's done?
Theoretically, you could, I think, but you would have to pay for all the days, is what it is, because you either have to get lucky and that someone is planning to be there only one day, and then their space opens up, or you have to basically reserve that space for that entire time. They might want you to send someone ahead to at least, put up because they do have signs up, so they might at least put up a sign up for your company will be here, and then if you can only set up Saturday, then great, you set up for your Saturday. You probably get in there late on Friday or something, because you want to set up, or maybe if you're got enough like really early on Thursday, because I think the dealers can get in like 2 hours ahead of time, like around 8. Because the main doors and the showroom open around 10.
Okay, so odds are with half of A being empty, it's probably empty today as well.
Yes, they had like a fabric wall set up blocking it off, and the thing is, from the media room, they have a window that you can look out into the hall, because it's like 2 floors up, and I could easily see that half of Hall A. The thing is, when you're down there, you don't notice that it's half of that. You notice there's a felt wall, and you're like, oh, we're not going to the back wall. You can tell that. But how much of it, that's hard to tell.
Unless you're up in that media room.
it gave me a perfect view to see how much of it actually wasn't being filled.
Now, did they hold it? Did they have PAX Unplugged last year, or is this the first year back?
This is the first year back. They were in 2019, because that's pre-pandemic, and then last year they talked about it. They talked about a lot of things, but they canceled out really early, fortunately. Before they even did like sales of tickets or anything, they're like, nope, not doing it. So they did have a PAX West, and I overheard some people talking in the media room how PAX West was really small. That was a little earlier, like back in I think September, October. And again, it's that entire thing. I think it's people are getting used to getting back with stuff a little bit, slowly, but
so probably those big companies are like, hey, probably not worth us, renting an area and showing up.
Yeah.
You think? Okay.
I think that there are plenty of people that still want to show off their games because companies want to do that. It's a great place to get your stuff in front of the public where they can test it stuff too. I've seen before some people will be like, check out our game. It's going up on Kickstarter in a week or two.
Okay.
So
try to build a little hype ahead of time.
Yes. Spreading the word, hoping getting people saying stuff on social media like, oh, I checked out this really cool game, something like that, Okay.
And how do you think it impacted the general feel of the con at all, having so many of those big players missing? Or
I mean, no, not really. Because certain big players don't really usually have a presence,
Okay.
Modiphius is a crapshoot. I've seen them there. I've also not seen them there in previous years anyway. Again, because they're European-based. Other companies like the Aldrak Group and all their subsidiaries, they're kind of random who shows up anyway. I've seen years that have Fantasy Flight there. I've seen years that they're not there. Certainly this year, Fantasy Flight wasn't there. I forgot that's another one that's in that group. Other ones like Wizards never shows up. They show up jack shit. They don't give a flying fuck. I don't even know if they show up to West, honestly. They're in the backyard of West, but Wizards is their own thing, Steve Jackson Games, which sounds like it would be a larger one, they do have a booth there, but they're not really showing off a lot. They were thinking they were showing off Munchkin Russia and Munchkin Babies, and I'm like, And I think a new edition of their one Car Wars game, which it looked like they've actually got a pretty decent version of the board game, judging that the previous versions I had seen of it years and years ago were print and play. I've got to go to 3-player because a Momo showed up.
Hello. I was noticed.
Yeah.
You've been noticed? Get noticed?
My subtle takeover has been ruined.
I mean, I got a whole lot of pictures of the entire thing, and I try to take those too. One of my walks through, I was just taking a bunch of pictures of a lot of stuff. Whoever does Warhammer, I can't remember the company. They had a big booth.
Games Workshop.
Game Workshops had a big booth. They had some con exclusives. Actually, they took up a spot that was one of the really big spots. So
I would expect so because Sigmar 3rd Edition is either coming out or just come out.
Yeah. So I think they were hyping up for that.
Okay.
That's another thing. They do have actually a section over towards the free play where they have paint your own miniatures at the con and take them home.
That's the best part of Warhammer is the painting. The game is actually just kind of bad.
I mean, slightly off topic, but
fantasy is kind of meh.
It's just wargaming. Realistically,
40K
Kill Team is a much better put together version of Warhammer, but 40K if you just want to roll a ton of dice is
if you want to get into Warhammer, just get into 40K. It's honestly the better version. As much as I like Fantasy Warhammer.
Yes. Yes.
So
it's the one they love more.
my reasoning for the original line of questioning though. So before the show you mentioned that that the con basically just didn't feel the same, didn't feel right. And if it wasn't due to, half the hall being empty and big players not being there, what do you think was the cause of it?
This is something I was going to bring up in the deeper discussion on the convention, and I will tell you, for the Tabletop Con, I was alone.
Really?
I think this is something that I want to dive into for the deeper discussion, but a tabletop convention intrinsically is better with people. Now, granted, not for everybody, because there's some people that are very friendly and can open up to people and make new friends very rapidly. But for me, I had one friend, he had a schedule. I came in on the train with him. We hung out a little bit, but he had his own things to do for a lot of the day. So, I was there on my own. And I'll talk about that in a little while, why it was also different. But some other things were like, I'll tell you, outside of the media room, it's the third floor, because technically it's like the second floor, because I think the convention, the main halls go from like second floor to third floor, and there is a bottom floor, which I didn't go to, but they've got things like theaters where they have panels and like live shows, like, you know, they've acquisitions incorporated at like evenings on one of the days or something, and then like there's another couple things, you know. They've got like role-playing areas where if you sign up like a month in advance, you can get into one of these role-playing games and play there. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's that bad, but like you have to be there like ridiculously on time or something like that, and it's really difficult to get into them. I've tried in previous years.
Okay.
So you could do some actual role-playing or test out a game, you know. Sometimes you get lucky, like Paizo wasn't there, too. Paizo in there has years that has had play tests of things like Pathfinder and Starfinder, and like the one year, me and Joe got lucky and got a Starfinder. We had it's like, it was late on a Sunday, and we were able to do it, because they're like, well, no one was showing up late on a Sunday for Starfinder. They hadn't signed up for it. No one was around. A lot of people were already departing or leaving by that time, you know? We got lucky and tried it. Or the people that do Dark Matter. I got to see them. We got to test it before. I asked them a few things about it. You know, they've got like a special edition of the book. They've got an adventure they're publishing. And they're working on more stuff. And I'm like, because I like the idea of a lot of Dark Matter. It wasn't bad to play. I think playing the actual system of Dark Matter rather than what Joe did would have been better, rather than just using the information from it, honestly. But, you know, not that we didn't have complaints about it, but there was ways to play it, and it wasn't bad. Expanding more on it would be helpful. Yeah, the grinding gear system. But like outside of the media room is a little lounge area and the food court. Now, during lunch, food court was pretty busy. I could have still found a seat. Before then, it was like empty. And in previous years, I've been there on a Friday and on a Saturday, Sunday. Those are always filled because it's a place people could hang out, relax, play some games, you know, while snacking on food or something. And it's a lot less, not as loud, because if you're in the gaming hall in the free play area, it's still a gigantic hall and everybody's there and the noise is there. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a very big difference. And the little lounge area is really nice. And like the amount of times I walked to that lounge area and I'm like, I could have gotten a chair. Impressed me. Again, it felt a little more empty in just general. I think that was the big impression I had about everything. I did pick up some stuff there. To get boxed magic cards, which would probably be a Christmas gift for me, because, you know, not from me to me. Just because it's the easiest way to be like, here you go, here's a Christmas gift for me. Oh, thank you for giving me some Christmas. Mm-hmm. That's just, you know, my mom doesn't know what to shop for me. I did get a D100.
Ooh.
It is a golf ball. It eventually stops.
There's...
Eventually.
I kind of hate D100s.
I do too, but for the novelty, and I've never actually owned one, I thought to get one.
Yeah, they're a novelty.
And it was, I think, $5 for it, which wasn't a bad price.
It's not too bad.
No.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who doesn't want to sit there and roll a golf ball occasionally?
You just have to make sure you have it, like, in a box or something so it doesn't, like, roll off an edge, because it just wants to keep going if you're not careful.
Yeah, it will never stop.
Mm-hmm. I got a couple of small expansions for a card game, Wicked Apples. It's a little independent company. I like the card game a lot. They just came out with 2 expansions for it. So they're like, little cheap things. I got them. And then I got a third-party epic level handbook for 5th edition.
I did see you post that.
Yes. I was looking through it. It's an interesting idea. It's going up to it's planning up to 30th level. So I feel like it's taking some influence from old epic level, 4th edition epic level, and Pathfinder like mythic stuff, and kind of coming up with something about it.
Okay, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I like that kind of very high-end stuff, personally speaking.
I would be interested to run it. I did. They had a bestiary, which is kind of more like a tome of villains. They almost put it out as that. It's like if you're, they get the idea of like, here is this thing which is probably going to be like the big bad versus your epic level people, and this is why they're a big bad. Like like one of them I looked through, it was like they called it like Primeval Tarask, which was like an actual like mythic powerful. You need to be 30th level to fight Tarask.
Yeah, not just a dinosaur.
Not just a dinosaur. Or the Primeval Dragon, which is like supposed to be like the first dragon, that was not a god.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's been like imprisoned because it's like the reasoning was the reason that dragons are so powerful in the world and exist was because it tried to conquer the world with dragons and just dominate over it. But like a legendary like force imprisoned it, and it's trying to find its way out. Oh hey, there's a storyline. It's escaping. Your heroes try to go fight it.
I saw the book.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That amuses me.
Yeah, go ahead.
You posted, and it said 5e compatible. Was it originally designed for 5e, or?
They use the words 5e compatible because all the third-party stuff I think just says that.
Okay.
Now, granted, I hadn't read through the entire thing, because like the core book has creating epic level characters, which they do it very good. They say, make a first level character. Level up your character 1 level at a time to 20th level, then you start approaching that epic level stuff.
Like, you create a character and level it up 1 level at a time to 20, and then play at 20, or? You
could just start playing at 20, or they do have rules if you're going above 20, if you're starting above 21 too. But that's the basic way to build it. It's like, it's the idea that you want to build it as a character and like how you would have developed it in the idea, because it is a character that's supposed to be really well developed in the first place.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like the idea you're already an epic hero for whatever reason. If you're starting a campaign with that, you've already been through a lot of shit to get to this point in time. It's just something else big is happening, and you're getting involved in it. Maybe you were planning on retiring. They also had like epic feats in there that you could take, which one of them was hilarious because it was like you get like a boost to a stat and like you get a proficiency in a save, and then it mentions that like any children you have like the like Paragon Heritage feat, like so they're like they're like born like heroes. It's like God damn. God. I loved that. That was hilarious really to funny. See.
Magic.
That's just Crusader Kings.
Yeah.
My child was just birthed into the world, and they already know how to swing a sword 30 times in 6 seconds.
You're welcome, son.
Yeah. Turns out being a high level fighter is all genetics, not learning anything.
Just genetics, yeah. You don't have to learn how to do anything martial. It's just you're born with it.
But they also talk about like doing multi-classing, and for each class they also have like rather than going like from 20 to 21st to 30th for that class, they have basically like a prestige class of that class that you take.
Oh, you mean something that 5th edition should just like had?
Yes. So it's sort of like you evolve into this different version, which is the epic version of that class, like wizard becomes an archmage.
Ooh, neat.
Yeah, so each one has like a title like that you've like earned by getting to that level. And they do rules for epic level spells and stuff like that and things.
Side note, point of curiosity: what's the one for 20th level rogue? Wizard Archmage makes sense.
If you give me a second, I'll go get the book. Give me a second.
Don't worry about that.
What?
Don't worry about that. It was mostly if it was on the top of your head.
It's not off the top of my head. I remember the Archmage because Archmage has been used before in things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Archmage is like a common thing.
Yeah. So I thought it was cool, and I got that. And then I got another expansion to Everdale, which is like a little board game I really like. I got a test version years ago, and then I got the first expansion, and this one I bought the third expansion, which unfortunately it's you either play Puddlebrook or that one, but it looked really neat, and they were selling it for $25 off, so it was only like $40 instead of normal price for a big old like massive expansion of like stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of things I bought. And there's more stories to the entire thing of like I ended up getting I was gonna get breakfast with my friend, but he brought up a great point. The place I wanted to go to was in Reading Terminal Market, which, if you don't know about that, it is a like I'd call it, if you've ever been to like a farmer's market or something like that, reminds you of that a little bit. Except it's really crowded next to the train station and in the middle of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I've been to one of those kind of things before. They're great. I love them.
Oh, yeah.
But there are too many people.
There are too many people. And the little breakfast place in there has the tables and stuff. They fit a lot of people in there by cramming a lot of people in there.
Yeah. That's not exactly safe right now.
No. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I didn't even think about how bad that would be. So we didn't go to that. And then I felt lazy, so my story is I decided, because in previous years, a couple friends of mine I went with to a Hard Rock Cafe, which is right technically in the same building as the convention center. I went there. It's a little more expensive. The food was decent, though, honestly. The decor it's a thing.
Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, it's a style.
It's a style. But the food's pretty good, actually, I have to admit. That's the one thing I can say about it, is I actually enjoyed the food quite a lot. So.
Was it at least less crowded?
Yes.
Okay.
Originally, they were going to give me a high top table, but then apparently all the high top tables were taken, so they gave me a normal table, because I was one person, And it was fine. There wasn't really people around, It was okay. There were people around, but the tables were definitely spread out enough that I felt like it wasn't bad, Okay. And I went like mid-afternoon because I wanted to get because the main show floor was open from 10 to 6, and during that entire time you can do whatever in the main show floor. Which is another thing I have to say about this convention, which is different than other conventions, which I will talk about, is a tabletop convention, everybody's trying to sell you something right away.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's selling you something right away. Like, you're there to see the tabletop, but they're also trying to sell you that tabletop. It's a little different from some other conventions I've been to, for sure. And that's what I want to talk about a little later on. And
especially when you're already working with, like, relatively speaking, a smaller community and smaller consumer base.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense that they're going to try to make the most of it and get.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these are independent companies.
Yeah. There are plenty of those. So, yeah. Dinner was fine. I got my 6 o'clock train. I got to spend some time with my friend, catch up with him. I really only see him at PAX Unplugged nowadays, unfortunately. Just because... circumstances have changed. I don't meet with people in real life weekly, and the thing that I did with this friend was there used to be like Buzz Time Trivia, which is like a trivia company that can get into bars and restaurants and stuff that they can get. That like on the TV they have trivia then, like it's a channel that they can subscribe to. I really like doing that. The place that we used to do it at stopped having it, and then we just didn't go there anymore, and we just haven't found a new place to have it. I think I saw that a place my friend who passed away used to work at had it, but their food was expensive, and the one thing I remember is not only was it like they had no refills, and I got iced tea. It was very bar-y. So that's my experience with that one, and I don't think I would want to go to that place, so I haven't even mentioned it. Also, like, the main days we went were, like, Tuesdays through Thursdays, and I do stuff those days. So nowadays, but it was an experience. It wasn't a bad experience. I had fun. I liked it. The problem is that I think at the end of the day, I will say, I didn't really feel like going back because my friend Joe wasn't going to be there. My friend Blaze was going to be there. A couple of other friends that I know weren't able to go. No one else I knew was able to get in. You know, it would have just. I mean, I could have hung out more with my friend James, who I went and hung out with a little bit, but I think his father was planning on, because he was going to go in with his father today, was planning on driving it. Not taking the train with him. And then it's like hanging out there. I would have done a lot of free play to make it different. And, you know. And for me, at very least I can say I got this content creator badge. I didn't have to pay anything for it, so I'm not losing anything from not having more days off. You know, I'm only going the one. So.
I mean, big thing with con is there's tons of people there. You're going there to spend time with people. Going there.
Yeah, that's.
I can understand being there alone and just being like, well, I did one day. I don't really want to do more. It makes sense.
Yeah. You do most things you want to do at a con on day one, anyways.
Yeah, definitely. I could have made appointments. There were plenty of appointments. There were, like, companies. The thing is, I've talked to some of these companies before, and, like, yes, it's an upgrade to whatever they've done. They're doing something new. They've got their new version of a product out, but it's like, I haven't done a lot with a lot of these companies in over 2 years now. Mm-hmm. I can start from scratch again for these relationships and talking about it, developing it, but I just don't think I had the energy at this con to do it, honestly.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, especially with it being the first one back since everything shut down. Like,
but I do want to talk a little bit more about my feelings on the convention. But why don't I hit up the normal topics I had kind of developed, because there's a few that maybe we're going to talk a little bit about before I hit those up, because we can kind of talk about conventions in general. Because they are a topic. Hey, that Strixhaven book came out. Do we really care about this?
It's D&D Harry Potter.
It is...
Is that what this is?
Basically.
It really is, basically.
Strixhaven is a magic school.
Yeah, no. I read the blurb on the page that the link goes to, and the first thing in my head was like, oh, okay, so it's Magic the Gathering Harry Potter, but I didn't want to say it because I don't know enough about magic, so I was just sitting here waiting.
It basically is, yeah.
It's non-distinct Harry Potter is the best way to say it, you know.
It's Wizards of the Coast's brand of Harry Potter. Yeah. Right? It's a bog standard magical school.
Yeah, they made their own thing, so it was enough different. Because it really is.
They put Owlfolk in this book. Okay.
You know, it certainly is enough different that, like, you know, by a large amount that Harry Potter couldn't say anything about it. It's like it's 5 wizard colleges that have themes. Different. They were also like each settled by a primeval dragon or something, which is kind of cool. That still sometimes is involved in their schools or something, because I think they still exist or something like that. You know, they rather than Dominaria's primeval dragons, which were dicks. The whatever plane Strixhaven is, which I don't remember because it's not the plane, it's the name of the college. Their dragons were like, we'll bring magic to the masses. There you go, lesser beings. You could be more like us. Thank you.
Again, person with no real knowledge of magic gathering, it seemed a little odd that, you know, that just because you just mentioned it, you've got these colleges for anybody to go to and learn magic, but you just said they're started by prime evil.
The plane, by the way, I think is said Archivos.
Yeah.
Or something. That's
so
the plane.
Is primeval in this case not literally like they're evil? Is it?
Primeval, like the idea of like primeval isn't evil. It's like ancient.
It's the other definition, which is old.
Yeah. Not prime evil.
Not the Diablo one.
Okay, not the two separate words.
Yeah.
Not the one word version.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense.
And it supposedly brings in people from the multiverse because, you know, planeswalkers. I don't know how many else shows up other than planeswalkers. I gotta be honest. There's a thing about this that I'm like, planar travel is supposed to be difficult in the Magic canon of storylines since a certain point in time. There's a reason, like, you know, there was an entire, like, you know, set and storyline about an evil dragon creating a portal that could only transport inanimate objects, and transporting an army of the undead to conquer somewhere, another plane, because of that. You know, a planes-hopping dragon. Because normal folks can't go, but they say, from the multiverse. I don't know. I mean, in canon, at the end of, like, one of the Magic stories related to it, this nice lady who had been hiding out there since, you know, like, she was compelled to try to destroy the multiverse with someone, when she's technically not evil-ish, evil adjacent. It was actually using her real name and being like, I'm going to teach you about necromancy. But anyway. So I mean, it's a book all about. I guess it gives you settings for stuff, adds things.
It's got short adventures. I assume they're little, like, one-shotty things, right?
Yeah.
Because they're putting those in the books now.
Well, to say, 4 adventures that can be played standalone or woven together to create one campaign taking players from 1 to 10. It's a pretty decent one, actually.
That's not bad.
Feats and backgrounds, spells and magic items, a little bit of a bestiary, world-setting shit for this entire thing.
Owl folk are finally a thing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean...
something that does make my brain take note of. So it's the 4 adventures, and each one's supposed to be like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So theoretically, the lore implication of this, as far as I'm understanding it, is that if somebody goes to one of these colleges and does 4 years, they'll be a level 10 magic user. Which, I don't know in this setting if that's rare or not, but I know in a lot of settings, like, a level 10 is, you are already ridiculously...
I know that generally some of the planes in MTD are, like, very high-level magic stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know enough about this plane specifically.
I think it depends on, like, the settings. Certain ones, like... Because I think it's levels reflected in the world. If you think about, like, Faerun in the Forgotten Realms, most people don't encounter shit in their lives.
Most people aren't even level 1. They're level 0.
Yeah. They're just commoners. There are plenty of people that will experience some basic stuffs and learn and gain a few levels. Like, you know, certainly like a blacksmith. A blacksmith's probably like level 1 NPC rather than level 0 farmer dude.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
he might see like a monster once or twice in his life.
Yeah, so he's gained a little. I think that's the difference is, yes, you can get into settings where things are more difficult. Everybody's a little higher level because everybody deals with shit. I'm telling you, Innistrad, that entire plane sucks. Your commoner...
Yeah, Innistrad is fucking horrid.
Your commoner is probably going to be at least, like, half a CR, or half, like, a encounter level.
They've seen some shit.
Because they've, seen some shit over their lifetimes. They, you know, maybe they're not great fighters, but they could try to put up a fight against something, you know? Mm-hmm. But the plane is a horrible plane of, like, it's awful to live there.
Yeah, it's really
Welcome to Barovia.
No, honestly, it's worse than Barovia.
Yeah. Yeah, Barovia, at least you have, like, an overlord that, like, you know, keeps most other things in check.
You know, like, half the people on Barovia just don't have emotions or a soul to experience things, so...
Yeah. And then, in this case, I think, like, the thing is, like, it's that weird thing of, usually these adventures you play out are, like, more excitement than even your average student or adventuring type has. Like,
yeah, like, not every student is gonna fight. Like, let's look at Harry Potter. Not everyone's gonna do the shit that the main 3 characters did, right? You're gonna be there's gonna be that one shit kid who does nothing.
Unless you're the friend of said protagonist, in which case you turn from awkward, bumbling oaf into, like, hot and swing sword at Snake.
You know what? I have not seen any movie past the 4th one, so...
Wow, you're missing out on some serious glow-ups.
Indeed. But so, like, yeah. I think circumstantially I say, like, it pushes things level-wise, too. So I can understand, like, it's that weird thing of, it's the circumstance. You have to think about, even, like,
I mean,
even non-pre-made stuff, it's the circumstance that drives you to it.
Yeah.
I wonder if if these adventures are like milestone based or combat XP,
Ooh.
because I'm gonna say combat XP side tangent is fucking stupid.
Mm.
I'm gonna use a magic school as an example, right? This is a very very good point made by the DM of Dimension 20. If combat XP is a thing, every magic school in the fucking world is just going and slaughtering every goblin in existence to level their students up.
Yeah. I think, like, the idea that you will gain experience in a combat, but I think that's why, like, combat experience is it tends to be the thing people default to, but they're supposed to be gaining experience for, like, I did something, I, like, beat a trap, I solved a puzzle, I accomplished something. A lot of these things are supposed to give you experience too, or, like, I have to admit, like, that's one of the things about, like, let me give an example of the Skulls and Shackles. I had that guy you met. You could have fought him. But the book specifically says, if you befriend him, you gain experience as if though you had defeated him in combat.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
I assume you mean boat dude, captain, what's his face?
The free captain?
Yeah, the free captain.
Gotcha.
Because the thing is, like, he was there unannounced. You could have been aggressive. And
I feel like that'd be a weird route to take when it's not our port.
well, I think it also depends on how, like, evil pirate you want to go. Do you want to be more like him? Or do you want to be more like Harrigan, who you just got away from?
Hell, let's just start enslaving everyone.
I learned from you, Dad.
I learned it from you. I learned it from watching you.
I mean, certainly there are people that, in playing that game, could go that route.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But, yeah, so, I mean, I understand the levels 1 to 10. Again, like, yeah, I agree with you that combat alone really can't, and unfortunately, a lot of times these games rely on that combat for it. And
yeah, but the newer adventure paths have been very good at giving you ways to give non-combat XP. Like, the Witchlight, I will say again, is the best fucking adventure that they have, because every encounter has a way to do it non-lethally or without fighting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's the best one they've written, because it lets you play pacifist mode if you want to.
And I think another one that I have to say is, like, even Paizo, for all its things, even back during their original adventure path, Rise of the Rune Lords, every adventure, at the beginning of the adventure, they're like, these are the milestone moments your players should be these levels. So, now granted, they're saying that because they're like, you should make sure they've gotten enough experience by then if they, like, miss some in the book. I know that's why they said it. But they basically set up the milestone system right then and there. So, like, I know when I can give you that level without worrying about experience.
Yep.
It was an incidental thing that they just did in the beginning of their books. That's really good for basically just pulling off fucking milestones. And I'm, you know, I understand both. It's not really why they intended it, but it's the unintended consequences are great consequences.
They accidentally did something good.
Yeah. But let me know. I forgot to link this Strixhaven book. Let me do that.
Strixhaven, it could be cool. I mean, it's another $50 book that I don't have money for.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't have getting the money for it, and then I think the other thing is I think I've talked and thought about things like a wizard school in the past. Like I've talked with people.
Hard.
They're hard to do. So
schools are hard to do because a lot of it is gonna be. I'll put it this way: it would not be fun with the wrong people because a lot of it is kind of gonna be a bit of. There's gonna be a lot of downtime because you're taking class stuff, right? Like you're not on a standard adventure.
Yeah.
You don't want RP the nerd that's sitting in his room writing up his essay and not doing anything?
I'm working on my essay, guys. Quiet down.
Always so late and making so much noise. I can't study.
All right, we know the character you'd play. Look, right? I just play what I did in university, where I did everything last minute and somehow still passed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose my valedictorian status because of you guys. Why do you always drag me out on these crazy adventures?
Yep.
How many kids do you think die at these schools?
Too many. Well,
Right,
fortunately, in this case, Strixhaven is at least a college, so it's assumed that if you die, it's your own
You're
goddamn
like an
fault.
adult. Like, that's something I've thought about before. How many kids just die in Hogwarts? And they never talk about.
I mean, I don't know a lot because I only watched the movies and the books, but isn't there that, like, lady that died in the bathroom that haunts it or something?
Yeah, there's a ghost. To a student who died.
Few deaths over the course of the books, but outside of the books, there have been many deaths at Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fucking enchanted forest with a horrible spider monster right next to the school.
Yeah, bad.
And centaurs that murder people on sight.
Yeah.
And a snake that had come out. Like
That was locked away, to be fair.
Chamber of Secrets. Well, people have died to the snake before. They don't die in the book or the movie because accidentally, everyone gets saved. But it's stated that in the past, people have died of similar things, and it's just attributed to the snake.
I'm just gonna rip off all of Harry Potter and run a game.
Mm.
I'll define the
Pathfinder. There's
Second edition beginner's bundle.
It's a beginner's bundle, and not only do you get some stuff, it's going to charity partially.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
You get a lot of good shit with this.
So they're supporting the Trevor product and tabletop gamers. And it's the different levels. It's got the beginner's box. It's got the let's see here. They're saying that it's got like tiers to the beginner's bundle.
Yeah.
Well, put it this way: the $5 tier includes the PDFs for the second.
Oh, it's Humble.
Box.
That's right. It's up on Humble.
It is
I didn't notice it was up on Humble because I haven't checked Humble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is up through Humble.
The second PFD for the second edition beginner box, the Pathfinder Adventure Path Abomination Vaults player guide, and the Pathfinder character sheet pack, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the basic, like for $50, you do get the second edition beginner's box too in there, a physical item as included. You know, you need to do shipping, of course, but
yeah, you'd have to pay for the shipping.
But I mean, like,
depending where you live, shipping's not that expensive.
I mean, I like to see Paizo doing a lot of these things here. You know,
Yeah, and the Trevor Project is a fantastic charity.
Yes, a very good one.
I mean, I think that's one of those things that I always impress upon Paizo is like, it's not that it's they are a big company, but they at least have, you know, kept a monochrome of human
they do good
humanity.
Things.
Yeah. And you know, they when they ask is like, how will this earn us money and not be a jerk thing to do? They at least ask that second question. And I like it that they do that, you know.
Yeah. They do good things enough that, in my opinion, makes them one of the better companies.
Yeah. So, I'd say check it out. It's let me get the Humble link here up in the thing too, because I should put that.
Drop it.
Okay, you can drop it.
Yeah, because I'm just on.
But I should
right
probably make sure to get that link for myself so that if you know, when I put this up on YouTube this next week, because I'm caught up on Discussing Tabletops at the very least. At least one thing I'm caught up on. And I have no old games left to upload. I'm in the middle of Buccaneers right now.
Yay.
Progress. So yeah. It's going for how much longer?
It is going for
20 more days.
Yeah, you have 20 more days.
21 more days technically, because
you have a month. You have you got a long time.
You got a while.
Hey, if you are watching this and you have all these books, but you have a friend who wants to get into these things,
Christmas.
it's a good Christmas gift.
Mm-hmm. And certainly, if you haven't gotten into second edition Pathfinder, we do play first edition on Buccaneers, but second edition, it's still really good.
It's pretty good.
I like it. You know,
I think it's a good system. I have less complaints about it than other systems.
it's the thing is, like, I do have complaints, but it's like I also think back and I'm like, yeah, I got complaints about 5th edition and normal Pathfinder.
I have
first
complaints
edition.
about every tabletop system I've played.
Nothing's going to be perfect. So, keep an eye out on that. Let's talk about a horror board game.
Oh, hell yeah, horror.
It's Don't Look Back from
shit.
Modiphius.
Oh, hell yeah, Modiphius.
Yeah, they do a lot of good things.
This could be another 2d20 system.
It's a board game. I mean,
eventually will
board
be. Games.
Eventually it'll be a 2d20
Eventually
system.
Eventually it will be a tabletop RPG.
Yeah. So you players control 4 heroes against a randomly generated, basically AI killer.
You put the killer together with parts. That's really cool. I like that. You got the classics. You got
you got Freddy, Jason,
bag face man, hockey mask man, not William Shatner mask man, and whatever this weird baby.
Babyface man. And you can be carrying like an axe, a hammer, a knife, a severed head. Can have a gun.
I don't remember many slasher villains with a gun.
I think there are a few of them.
I forgot. They're legally distinct Freddy, Jason, Leatherface.
Yep.
Oh, looking at these, they're not going to be colored when you get them. But looking at the colored version of the miniatures, you've got like Jockman,
got all the archetypes.
Cheerleader, who's either police or camp counselor.
The nerd.
The nerd.
Some sort of lumberjack person.
With a shotgun.
Yeah, with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
And then a girl with a cell phone who looks like she's like. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with their faces. They all look like they're old men.
That's like the problem with miniatures. Like, alright, I tell you, this is the problem with miniatures, is often they use the same face for a lot of them. Just look up the Sisters of Battle miniatures. They all have awful fucking faces.
I mean, the worst case here is definitely the girl with the cell phone.
Yeah, she looks the worst. But they all do have pretty much the same face.
I mean, the park ranger's not too bad.
Yeah, the park ranger's not too bad because, she looks like she's like a little bit of an older person, like the adult figure in this. So she's the only one that... The cheerleader is a little off too. The nerd and... Like, the nerd, maybe because he's got the glasses, you can pull it off.
The glasses...
Even the jock looks like he's got like a couple extra wrinkles or something,
It's really dumb.
Now, granted, it could be the way they got painted, but...
it could also be, but yeah, that
faces are hard to do.
They're really hard on miniatures, and oftentimes they just use the same face.
Yeah, so you could play this...
Because you're not really looking at the face.
You can play it solo or cooperative. Take you under an hour is where it's how designed to. And it's, you trying to get rid of a killer, because there's apparently killer MO and trait cards that kind of like... I like to say AI killer, but they're like, it's just you've got a bunch of cards and shit that tell you what the killer does,
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way to say it, I guess.
I know, but it's like AI. I feel like that implies you're using like a game or something, and you're not.
Yeah, pull out your cellular telephone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information of what the game actually is or how it plays on the site.
That's kind of the bad side of a lot of things Modiphius does for pre-orders.
Yeah,
they don't tell you a whole lot.
Yeah, you'd have to like look it up on like maybe like Board Game Geek or something to really get some bit more information. I mean, they have good looks. They have a great track record, I have to admit. So it's sort of like
I've always been pretty satisfied with what Modiphius products I've played.
And they do very good miniatures, because they do their miniatures lines too for like war games and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, other than the uncanny valley of these poor people that their faces are just a little.
Yeah, putting the faces aside, the minis themselves don't look too bad. Like they're not crazy detailed, but they look fairly good.
Yeah. So
You should see their Fallout miniatures just as a side note. They're really good.
yeah, their Wasteland Warfare stuff.
Yeah, Wasteland Warfare is actually a really good one. It's like a really good war game.
The cell phone girl's actually a vampire lady. Very well, maybe.
Probably.
But no, it's cool that they did that. Hey, I think I've previously talked about this a little bit, but it's released now. A Dark Crystal adventure game.
Hey, I like Dark Crystal.
Mm-hmm. They call it an adventure game, but I think it's just like an RPG light, effectively.
That's what an adventure game is.
Yeah. But River Horse does interesting stuff. They also did like the what are they have other RPGs, don't they? Oh God, I forgot.
They've got the My Little Pony thing.
They do My Little Pony. I totally forgot they did that.
Yeah, I forgot that this was one of the. They have a Labyrinth adventure game.
They do have the Labyrinth adventure game.
No, that's a movie.
Yeah. The Labyrinth adventure game. I did forget about that.
Oh God, I forgot how fucking weird the little dude is from Dark Crystal.
Yeah,
They look so weird.
the Gelfling, which is I think what you really play. They're weird creatures.
So weird.
Just anybody. I'm gonna spell this here because it's a probably it's pretty easy spelling. Gelfling. Look up a Gelfling, and they just look how weird they look.
I actually love this movie so much.
I mean, it's a very good movie. I never saw it, but they did have that like prequel series that was supposed to be set during.
It was not bad, though they canceled it like pretty quickly because that's what Netflix does.
Yeah.
I think it just didn't get enough viewership.
Yeah.
I liked it.
With streaming services, it's kind of like hard to say what continues.
It was much better because they continued to use puppets.
Yes. And the original one was puppets.
They had Jim Henson's company do the whole show. So.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got interesting. The problem is like, I guess this is more like also before the mass genocide of
because
the locals.
Most of the pretty much all of the Gelflings are dead except like 2 of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was at least a male and a female. They could repopulate their race post the original movie.
Sort of. Gelflings have wings for some reason.
I thought the females did.
Yeah, the females have wings. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like okay, that's a weird thing. It's like males don't have that. Why? I don't know. The Dark Crystal's weird.
It's so fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in Jim Henson's stuff, if you like the movie, or you want to just see something really weird, the Dark Crystal adventure game.
Yeah. And watch the movie.
And watch the movie. Okay. I want to talk about conventions in general, because this is something that I realized about conventions, because we were talking about PAX Unplugged earlier, and specifically about this one that makes it intrinsically a problem, because I've been to a bunch of different types of conventions. Now, the big thing of being there with people is an important part of this entire thing, because I think being there with people helps in any convention. But I have been to anime conventions, I've been to Star Trek conventions, I've been to PAX East, which is pretty much like a video game convention with a little
PAX is video games.
Yeah, with a little tabletop sprinkled in. So, anime conventions, it's got a dealer's room where you go and buy stuff. It's got the thing is there. They usually have like an artist place where artists can show off stuff. That's pretty neat. It's got things like a lot more costumes. Still has panels, but it's got where you can go view stuff. Now, the thing is, usually they provide a lot of information about, it's this series, here's a little summary of it. You can get interested in it ahead of time. And then, when you go there, I can sit down, watch it for like maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. If I decide I don't actually like it, I can leave. Video games. Maybe I don't have information ahead of time. Okay, disadvantage. I can walk up, watch that video game played for 2 minutes, get an idea what type of game it is. Demoing it, 5 minutes maybe. Okay. You know, and you know, there's enough there that maybe there's lines, maybe there's not, so you never know. Tabletop. Again, no idea what's going on ahead of time. I can see who's there. I don't know what they're bringing. They're not announcing what they're bringing. Most of them aren't. And then, when I get there, I have to spend probably 5 to 10 minutes figuring out what the fuck the game, if I'm just watching it, is doing, how to play it and stuff. Or if I'm sitting down, 15 minutes to half an hour. It's never quick. Nothing's quick.
No.
And then, video convention, you maybe have, like, you know, upwards between 100 to 300 games being demoed, you know, something like that, with all that places, especially PAX East. Okay. I'm probably not going to see all of them. But again, when I'm spending like a minute or two figuring out if I like a game and I want to try it, that doesn't take up all my time. If I'm spending 10 minutes figuring out if I want to demo a game, and then 30 minutes demoing it, when they also have like 300 things to show, you're never doing it. There's no way you're doing it all. It's too much. I think that's a big intrinsic problem with a tabletop convention.
Yeah, it's because of the inherent nature of a tabletop game. One, it takes longer to demo because you have to learn the damn thing. Or at least the very basics. Because they're a lot more rule heavy than a video game, and you can just sit and watch an anime.
Yeah. You don't have to learn anything for the anime. You can sit and watch it. Or anything that like shows stuff.
Yeah. But to demo a board game, you have to play the board game. Yeah. That takes time.
Yeah. It's sort of like, with all the other conventions, when I'm shopping there, when I'm looking to buy stuff there, I'm not looking to demo it or something. I'm looking at stuff and I'm basically window shopping. I'm walking up and looking at it. Now, granted, if it's a shop that sells board games or books, I might like open up, look on, but I might look at the back of a board game or something.
Yeah.
You know? You know, I might want to look up online what reviews are or something like that. But I could do that at any kind of place that's selling any kind of stuff. The intrinsic nature of that, like, the problem with the demo is it just takes so long, I think. And it's the tabletop convention is such a time sink, and there's so much of it that you feel like you don't have enough time while you're there. And I think that's something that I realized this year. I felt a lot better about it too, because I didn't spend a lot of that time running around looking to demo stuff or making appointments where I felt like I had to be places. When these appointments, I have no idea what I'm getting into. Like, I have to say, most of the appointments I've ever gotten at PAX Unplugged, randomly, I have like I have some sentences on a thing that someone's like, we're showing off this type of thing. That sounds neat. Let's go see that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a thing. I like conventions, but I don't know. There's just, I feels like something like PAX South. As someone that I feel like is a lot more, I'm not big on public a lot, you know, if I'm not out with people. I've never been a big social person. You know, PAX South, where I go on my own, I've been able to do that for a few times because I think I'm traveling. It's a different experience, different area of the country. PAX East, where I drove, I kind of had some people around. Jinx was nice enough to share a room with me. And then I got to meet some people there, you know, a few of them that lived in the area. That helped.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, when I'm off on my own, you know, like, it's the difference between, like, checking out the video games, checking out the tabletop games is night and day. Really is.
Yeah. That absolutely is. For me, it's kind of like off topic, but about conventions. For me, a convention is an excuse to go hang out with people I like. And if they're not there, I don't really have that much fun.
I can definitely see that. That, it's less fun. Certainly, there's also like some other. I forgot a type of convention I've been to. Many, many, many years ago, I think in my early 20s, it might even be late teens, I went to a Godzilla convention.
Weirdly specific.
It was, but it was really cool because since it's back like maybe like late 90s, early 2000s, the guy that was in the original suit in the 50s one was there. He was still alive.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the one that did a lot of the 60s ones. So those were neat to see those guys and get their translators and stuff. And I got a couple of... I probably still have them. VHSs of subtitled Godzilla movies.
VHSs. And there's people who don't know what those are anymore.
I got a Godzilla vs. Destroyer in VHS and subtitled.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Classic. Look, nerd.
Yeah, I
can
mean...
show off my nerd creds.
You can show off this VHS that you can't play because no one has a VHS player. I say this, you probably have a VHS player somewhere in that room.
Because this was my entertainment thing, I still have my VHS DVD player on this thing that my computer is. Because I haven't thrown it out. It's just on that shelf down there. Like the TV that was here went away because it broke, I might actually have the old...
I think I have a VHS player at my house somewhere still.
I think there might the cable box actually might be in here somewhere too. I don't know. I don't know if I threw it out. That was a time when those existed.
These are words that young people don't understand anymore.
It's like I would love to grab Umber and take him to any kind of convention. I don't know what kind of convention would be great for him though. Is the problem.
I don't know what Umber likes that much. We'll take him to a Final Fantasy convention.
They probably
he likes
have
that
those.
game. They do. There's a massive one in Japan every couple of years.
See, like, I feel like that's also what Japan conventions are so different. They are.
Oh god, yeah.
A thing.
They put so much more effort than we do in ours.
Yeah. Like if you just watch some people go to those things, is they are different beasts. You have to think about, like they have I don't know about certain ones because I don't think they have like anime conventions like us, but they do have things like gaming conventions.
Yeah, they have gaming and like general media convention kind of thing.
Yeah, like is it Comica? Like they
have like that.
That's kind of like their anime dojin.
Yeah, they don't really because sure anime is popular in the West, but it's still kind of like that foreign thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's got that foreign appeal to it. That it's like it's not American, right? It's for America. So it's got that kind of slight pull to it. And in Japan they're just like bombarded with it constantly.
It's their normal TV.
It's just their TV.
Yeah.
It's just part of their TV. It's like just a normal cartoon for us, right?
Yeah. Like if I was going to turn on the TV and be like what fucking normal cartoons are on right now? I can say like a rerun of something,
I mean, Gravity Falls has reruns sometimes.
So I could turn on Gravity Falls. Would there be like a Gravity's Fall? Disney would sue the shit out of anybody that did Disney convention unless they did it.
Yes, absolutely. Disney is very protective of their copyright.
Yeah, but like Hanna-Barbera convention would be kind of weird for us.
That would be a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess because it's like.
I mean, we say that we have Star Trek conventions.
We do have Star Trek conventions.
That's still kind of weird, but you can go and see the cast sometimes, though.
Not like you used to. There's plenty of...
Not not really anymore.
I think they charge a lot more money and stuff, too. Like, it used to be that...
Oh, they probably do.
Yeah, it used to be that you get, like, a lot of signatures for free and stuff, but people charge a lot more money nowadays.
Oh, yeah, no, signatures are expensive.
It's changed. Like, because I was a kid when I went to Star Trek conventions. But, that's like fucking 30 years ago. Maybe not that long.
They still exist.
They do. I think the one that was at least close to me doesn't exist anymore, honestly. The ones that were showing up in my area.
Yeah, Star Trek's still pretty popular.
It is. But like I have to say, like, anime conventions. I would go to Otakon. I haven't. I've been to a few other smaller ones.
I've been to there's one in Pittsburgh every year I've been to. It's pretty nice. TechoCon. It's a pretty nice one.
The thing about those is, it's a different kind of beast because it was like I could watch some cool animes, could get some stuff from interesting stuff, products from the dealer's room. Maybe check out the art place because the dealer's room. I have to say, everything under the sun that's very nerdy will show up there. A lot of anime stuff,
absolutely.
But there'll be like sections of like tabletop, Magic Gathering, because they will also do a lot of those card games like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff and Pokemon.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's a big one.
So they also will have some Magic cards there, and then like also some other stuff that can be like a little bit more generic. Also like like sometimes like steampunk stuff. I don't know where they are now, but I got Autosoft guns. I got Autosoft guns. Or airsoft guns. Airsoft guns. Sorry, I'm saying them wrong. Airsoft guns at one of the conventions. Otakon. That's a weird thing to have there. You couldn't open them up at the con. You had to take them to your room right away. You're supposed
that
to
makes
leave.
sense.
But you could get them there.
Yeah.
Also, like, just seeing the costumes. Like, I think that was a big thing.
Yeah, the cosplay contests are really fun to watch.
Oh. I was always impressed by cosplay as a thing. It's like something like, I'm not going to do that, but I can be impressed.
You need a lot of skill and a decent amount of money.
My one friend who could come up with some okay costumes on her own, she did very like light ones, so she could do them. I always joked with her, if you make a costume for me, then maybe I'll do it. I'm not doing it on my own. If you make I think me and another like Blaze said that if you made costumes for us, maybe, and she never did. Haven't been to one to years since Otakon switched venues. They moved from Baltimore to Washington. I was going to go the 1 year because I managed to get a free pass through something else. Like I think I entered like a little contest or something, got a free pass, but it's just getting a hotel. And it's in the middle of Washington, D.C.
Oh yeah, that's a hard one to get hotels.
I like Washington, D.C. to a degree. I don't mind the city, but I haven't really been there.
One time was enough for me.
Seeing the nation's capital was nice. Seeing a lot of that stuff there.
There's some cool things you can get pictures of. You can go there's really good museums there.
Oh, the museums are wonderful. I would go to the museums in a heartbeat again. Side note, my dad has a friend who works at the Smithsonian.
Ooh.
If he's working, we can get in the back.
Nice.
Because if you have a friend in there, they can give friends and family tours. So
Smithsonian's a really good museum.
That's why I like those cabins. The good cliffs to get fossil hunting. His friend also lives outside of those, so he can get a pass from him. He goes, visits his friend, hangs out for a while, drinks and shares some stories, compares some fossils. Then the two of them usually take a trip down to the beach, and the rest of the time my dad, goes on his own.
Nice.
But no, Joe hasn't been to Washington, D.C. Oddly enough, he hasn't. Got to drag him one day. But no. And then, like, I've talked about the tabletop conventions, but, like, the video game convention, it was a thing. That PAX East was just a weird insanity I didn't understand.
Video game conventions are my least favorite kind of conventions.
Too many flashing lights.
It's a lot of flashing lights, and honestly, not that many interesting video games that get released.
I mean, at least PAX East had a good supply of indie games, I think.
Yeah, PAX East has indie games. But a lot of gaming conventions are just circle jerking around AAA titles, which I don't care about.
At this point, like when I was younger, I always wanted to go to the gaming cons. But these days, at least, like I think the only ones I would consider going to are the ones with a heavy indie presence, because the gaming industry is so. I mean, granted, it's going to sound like pretentious, but it's changed a lot in the past, like, even 2 decades. It's become very heavily commercialized, and they're just, at this point, most gaming cons are just
They're
like you
advertising.
said, corporations jerking
It's,
themselves off.
it's
And,
an advertisement.
And like, even then, like even with me saying the ones with heavy indie presence are the only ones I really want to go to, I still don't even really know what I would do at a con, to be honest. Like it's
I mean, my experience with cons are wandering a show floor for a couple hours, meeting up with friends, and then getting absolutely pissed and passing out in a hotel room.
honestly, yeah, that seems like most of what it is just go and hang out with friends rather than
And get horribly drunk.
I mean, there are some
There's
advantages.
two sides to a con. There's the business side, which people experience, and then there's there's the consumer side.
Yeah.
Right? They're both very different.
And like I've straddled the line between the two of them. Like I think PAX East was where I really straddled the line between the two of them, because I got there on a business pass. I did some business. I was mostly there for the commercial side, because I made a few video game meetings, but I'm like, I don't do a lot of games currently on my channel. I try to here and there, but my I've been like off on. I'm trying to finally get back to that kind of schedule. Just me like building life schedule around it too, sometimes, and getting myself on my life side back in order. But like, I could wander the show floor a couple of times, because it's like also like maybe taking a few times wandering the floors. Like you first time you go through, you see what's around, and that might take like an hour or something. And then it's hard to walk around for like an hour constantly, not want to take a break. So maybe you take a break, get a snack, get some drinks, use the bathroom, and like you could take another time where you're looking for like, oh, I saw these games before. Let's see if there's some openings when I can like get on the games or something, and stuff like that. And
yeah, that's the thing about PAX and video game convention in general. A lot of your time there, you're either going to be waiting in line or finding something that doesn't have a line.
Yeah. Then granted, like, it's got things like, at every PAX, they have the advantage of the tabletop library, where you can check out a tabletop, a board game, go play it, and then come back.
Yeah.
And that's really fun. That's always been something that I feel is a really great thing that they have.
Yeah.
Like, I think my experience with PAX East is the best encapsulating what a good convention experience would be, because like I had my meetings I went to. The great thing about this is, I have to say, is the heavy advantage of being media is the fucking media room, because it's a quiet place. It's probably not going to be filled, and I can fucking sit down.
Yeah, media rooms are fucking great.
It is such an advantage on any of these things, I would say. Like, even without it, just finding that quiet place you can sit down sometimes, or like a little place to the side, are really good to do, and you just want to at some points in time. Hanging out with people, certainly a helpful thing. Like it helps a lot. Like Liz, which I don't know anybody knows it. Lightning might know Liz, maybe.
Heard the name before.
She streams a lot of Destiny.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, yeah, but she lives up there. She was doing the convention circuit for a charity group, or something like that. At least at the time. I don't know what she does, if she does that now or not, because there haven't really been conventions, But I got to hang out with a couple of times, and she was really nice to chat with, and chat with her and her fiancé. I don't know if they got married then. They might not have been fiancé at the time. I do know he proposed to her. See, these are things that you learn, and that I have to remember, because I know people.
Remembering things.
About other people that I should know things about.
I don't remember things about myself, let alone other people.
But, like, the thing is, PAX East, it did have the big names. Like, it had Square Enix. I don't know if they were premiering it, or this was like a second showing after like a Tokyo or a Japan convention of the second a Final Fantasy VII remake demo. I think that's what it was. It was the second one.
It would have been a re-showing.
Yeah, I think
they premiere all of that stuff first at the Tokyo Game Show.
Because I think they had the first one was already out, which was, I think, was like the remake of the Mako reactor thing.
Yeah, it's like the I think, yeah.
This was the second demo, which I don't remember what it was at this point in time, but it was, I don't remember seeing anybody play the second demo, so they might not have released it publicly. You could have really done it at shows.
They might not have.
Animal Crossing was there right before it really hit big because of pandemic. They had some crazy setup for that. And then the other...
Some companies go all out for their booths.
Well, there was this nice castle with a giant illithid Nautilus ship crashed into it for Baldur's Gate.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. The game workshop booths for Warhammer are always immaculate and beautiful.
They had the Warhammer one at for Baldur's Gate 3. The Warhammer one at this convention yesterday. They had 2 hammers set up. One that was for, I think, 40k, and one that was for Age of Sigmar, on like opposite corners. That like so they were really cool looking.
Man, I don't know if I would ever go back to PAX, especially alone. That'd be a tough sell.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think I'd ever go to any con for one. I mean, granted, I've never gone to one, but it's just, it seems like the type of thing you go to with some friends, like excluding the media side of it, or
if you're media, obviously you're there at least partly for your job.
Otherwise, like I'd want to go with some friends and just hang out together, go see things together.
Yeah, because I think that's the big thing is like, when I go to PAX South, I'm not going there with friends, or I try to. But, like, I could have my tabletop meetings. I could check out some of the video games. PAX South is relatively small. And then the other thing is, I'm a little bit of a tourist. I always like trying different places to get food down there. And there's this, like, really nice, slightly more expensive Mexican restaurant that was really good that I went to. And then I went to one that's a little different. And, like, I'm not a huge person on Southwest Mexican food, but I found some nice stuff, and I got to try it out. And I have, for the life of me, have to say, I've become a fan of Denny's because for lunch, because every lunch I would go there, and it's like 1 block away, outside of the convention center, is a fucking Denny's. You just cross the street, walk a little bit, and you're right there.
Denny's is so fucking good.
It was so convenient.
So good.
And the problem is they had like, I don't think they could only have it down there because they had like a cream corn with Parmesan and jalapeno in it. It was so good.
That sounds pretty good.
It was so good. It was like a spicy, cheesy cream corn. I was like, this is so much better than it has any right to be in existence.
Denny's is so much better than it has any right to be.
I know. But I was like, oh my god. But that was like lunches I would have. Like, I just would go over there for lunch and it was great. Oh man. And I think like things like that improve your time if you're there alone.
They do. They really do.
And hanging around a little bit at the problem is like the first year I went to South, I wasn't a media person, and like 90% like there I knew people were there that I would have wanted to meet in the media world. When I went last time, I didn't know anybody there. Now, granted, I know a lot more people in the Twitch and YouTube sphere than I did back the first time I went. But even with that increase in that knowledge, no one that I knew was there, really. So I didn't get to meet anybody and talk like as another person that's in that world,
I think it's going to take a bit for conventions to get going again.
Well, it's like, and like, some people just like, they did a lot of conventions early on, and like years go by, some people just don't like going to conventions anymore and things like that, Yeah. Some people still do, some people don't. It's a mixed bag. And even PAX East, I think like, definitely having people around there. For one thing, money, the hotel room would have been much more expensive if I didn't have Jinx, like, because it was at least something off, I was able to say, like, I basically, they were on the edge on, price-wise, so I was like, look, I've already planned for it, I've gotten the room, 50 off a night. When it was like 150, it was only a third of the price, but, it was something less. I had to pay for one less night, while I was there, and that was something. And it's just, and then meeting with Liz a couple of times here and there, that was improved my time. And I have to say, anime conventions, except for the first year I went to Otakon, which it was a much smaller convention and it was a very different experience, I always had friends come along with me. Or someone else. There's a weird thing I got to bond over my mother with. She loves those, Asian action movies. The subtitled ones.
Those are so good.
So, I would go to an Otakon, she'd come along, she would park herself in the live action theater that they always had. And, if we wanted to go, go to lunch or something, I could go get her or something, So if I always had someone, if one of my friends couldn't make it or something, I at least had someone there. Granted, it's your mother, but, if you have a good relationship with
someone to talk to.
Yeah. And if you have a good relationship with your parents, then it doesn't matter. And you can bond over the insanity of the,
Yeah,
stuff
that is another thing about going to conventions with friends, is when you meet up to feed your starving bodies because you've been walking all fucking day, you can talk about the shit you've seen.
Yeah, and bonded. And then, someone could be like, well, that's another thing about the board game conventions. If you meet up and, they're like, oh, hey, I demoed this game over here. You should try it. You really like it. Hey, we have a whole bunch of different people demoing games now, and we can all do separate ones and learn stuff and come back. I mean, okay, here's another thing about that I intrinsically have a problem with tabletop versus video games. Video games, you're probably playing it on your own. Tabletop, you might be playing with strangers to demo it.
Yeah, you need people for those games.
Random people that are like, who are you? Do I know you? And I think that's another thing is, the video game, you could probably, honestly speaking, end it early if you've got to get going for a demo. Same with
just turn it off.
Anime, turn it off, or be like, oh, just put the controller down and walk away, let the next person take over or something, or restart it.
Yeah.
Really can't do that with a board game, especially the group of random people. It's really difficult to do. You're in it.
I don't know if I'd play board games, or I don't think I'd play a tabletop game with complete strangers. I'll be honest.
I've done it before.
I think I'd be into that.
I've done it before, most of the times I have done it before. I didn't at all this convention. I'm not great with that. But, I've done it before on my own. I don't really like it. If you got at least someone else, when me and Joe would go to, to PAX Unplugged, we could demo it together. Maybe there was a third or fourth person that's a random person we don't know. But we're at least there together as a kind of block, It improves it already, It's like, oh, I can chat with Joe about something and I don't have to, I can sort of evolve that random person, but I don't really need to,
Yeah, you're never going to see that person again.
Yeah. And for the life of me, not only is it impossible, or nearly impossible, to get into, role-playing games, but your experience is going to be, nothing. I enjoyed the... We didn't really demo Dark Matter, per se. We talked about it. We've demoed Starfinder and, I think Pathfinder once each. And those were good experiences, but they weren't, huge experiences. I can say, I could take it away that if I was trying to learn the system, I really want to have. You don't learn character creation because you pre-made characters.
Yeah.
You can have fun. But being in, it's also, getting into those, 3-hour games is so hard, where you're actually doing the game and learning them and playing them.
It is. Well, doing that with random people is even worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are people that do, the Adventure League or the Pathfinder Society stuff, and you're doing that probably with random people at a game store, at your local place. I did briefly talk to the Dark Matter people, honestly, this year. I greased them for just some basic information. Again, I think you'd missed that I'd said that they have a adventure that they've published now for Dark Matter, and they're working on more stuff, like DMG, bestiary kind of stuff. But they're still working on that, So they are expanding their stuff for that. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I'm glad I went the one day, but I really needed more people there to have that experience be a multiple day kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
And again, like, I like James. I like hanging out with him. But he does a lot of his own things. He does occasionally, like, the tournaments. Not really into those. You know, he tries a lot more of those games in the free play area, like they've got the test games or something. Because that's when I went to, like, after I got food, I went to go meet with him before I left. That's where he was at. He was testing with some of his father's friends. So these are people that he associatedly knows. I wouldn't have known them at all, so I'm not going to get involved with those people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's that degrees of separation. You know, it's like, just because you got friends with someone doesn't mean that you're going to get along with their friends, but maybe you can accept it.
Yeah.
But, like, I had a list of, like, at least five people that weren't there this year that are friends that have been there in previous years. So it was an experience, and the convention is an experience.
It is.
I think you nailed it on the head, Momo. Is that maybe you could go off and do your own thing, but that coming back together and doing some stuff like a lunch or a dinner, or maybe going back to the hotel room together, then so you can, like, when you have that chance of, like, sharing the stories and reflecting on what's going on, or even, like, at a board game place, testing out some of the shit you bought, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the convention was open for, like, 6 more hours after I left. You know what they do with those 6 hours? The free play area. The fuck was I going to do that with? And, like, I don't really want to do it with, like, the random people, you know, or the people that even, like, closely associated. And, like
if you're a more social person, then it's not so bad.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that's like, hey, yeah, group of strangers, yeah, let's go play. But not everyone's like that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm definitely not.
I mean, like, I'm certainly not either. And, like, that's the thing is, like, even, like, the tabletop rental for their library, they have these little cones you can get that are, like, looking for players or something like that, you know, that you can put out that, like, if someone randomly wants to join you, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, my experience with public games have always been negative in the board game space, so...
I mean, I think the one thing I do have to say is my best experience with tabletop at PAX Unplugged was me and Joe, years ago, ended up meeting with a guy, chatting with about his game, and then Joe was like, you know, I really like your game, I'm going to get a copy of it, you know, and then, so afterwards, we were staying a little later, we were going to test out the game. Someone shows up and is like, oh, I know that game, I can help you learn the rules of it. And we're like, sure, why not? We're struggling with the rules a little bit. Turns out, we talked to the one guy who was, like, part of the team. This was his brother who was the main designer.
Oh.
That's pretty nice.
So
that's
we
cool.
got to play a game with, like, the designer of the game, because it was like, oh, you bought my game. It's like, you bought my game, I can help you out with this. But he didn't say, what, you bought my game, you know, we learned about
I love how that's his introduction. Yeah, hey, I know that game, I can help you guys learn the rules.
Yeah.
Like, that's good dude right there.
Yeah.
Good dude. That's somebody who likes causing a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
'Cause I assume either halfway through or when you guys finish up is what he told you.
It was a little bit into it. We were kind of going through the rules, and it was still during the rules, at least, that he did introduce it, so it wasn't super far into playing the game. But it was like, because then it was like, you know, I think we might have instigated. We're like, you know, yeah, we were talking with, you know, the one creator, and it's like, I was like, oh yeah, you were talking with my brother, you know. It's like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah. Wait a moment, hold up.
Hold on a second.
That's cool.
It was very cool experience with that one. That was good. Yeah, they were planning a whole bunch of stuff. That actually was a fun game. I don't know if it could play on Tabletop Simulator. I liked that game a lot that they had. They were planning on more stuff for it. It was a interesting kind of like resource management-y kind of game.
Yeah.
That doesn't describe it the best. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of it. I think the company was Flying Rhino, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So I could probably look this up if they are unfortunately still functioning, still going. Board game. I might have the name wrong for the company too, or something, because Haba's showing up. Curse you, Haba!
Unfortunate.
Oof.
Well, if you can get the name of it, then yeah, we can take a look.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but Joe would know the name definitely. He bought the board game. But no, so it's like experiences like that you, like, I wouldn't have had if I wasn't down playing that right there, but I wouldn't have played that if it wasn't for Joe. Because, I mean, like, you know, Joe's very big on, like, hey, come on, let's try at least this out a little bit. Because I was more like, at that point in time, all right, it's just the two of us, let's get going, you know. Because, you know, again, our friend James was around the area, but he was off doing his own thing, as usual. You know, you can grab him for a bit before he runs off. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know if there's much else I want to say about the convention on its own. I think there certainly are a lot of good conventions out there, and the convention itself, experiencing one even on your own is worth it, I think is the word I want to say about the entire thing. Just what it ends up being, up to you a little bit, and up to what you're looking for, up to who, and again, also probably up to who you can play with, or be there with. So, either of you got anything to? I guess, well, mostly Mom. You got anything else about that kind of thing here?
No, I said what I wanted to say.
Cool. So, do we want to talk about anything that happened in tabletop this week? I guess that's the next thing we usually do. Yeah.
We had some games this week.
Yeah. Totally had some games. There was like, I don't think we had anything Saturday or Sunday.
No, my Sunday game is still on pause. We're not coming back till January. Taking a month-long break, which is a weird plan. But I understand why.
I was off again Monday because our GM for Pathfinder 2nd Edition got a new job, and she's still adapting to that. So she had some stuff that she was taking care of on that end, like some stuff related to that. So she just wanted another week off. She's hoping to be back this week, but again, like, you know, I understand, new job changes things a lot in your schedule, so got to get adapted to it.
Yeah. You know.
She tried to have it at 8 o'clock, but unfortunately, one person wasn't going to be free, and then Blaze, using the power of I've got an extra hour before we play, turned out he dozed off. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that happens when you don't have a lot of time, or you have too much time. So, we were down enough people.
Unfortunate.
Yep. Anybody do anything on Tuesday?
I have a Tuesday game.
Oh, you have a Tuesday
It's a
game.
fun game.
Uh-huh.
It's the other boat game.
The other boat
We're
game.
not pirates.
Not
yet.
Totally pirates. Totally not.
Well, the wizards technically stole things, but it's fine. Now we're just banned from a continent.
The entire continent.
Yeah, we kind of can't go back to the gnomish lands because the wizards stole like a million, way too much mithril and a bunch of weird magical engine parts. So we can't go back to that continent ever again. That's fine, I'm sure. We began our 4-month boat journey to the human lands, and we found a ship in the middle of the ocean, and it was full of spiders. Horrible spiders. Every goddamn room. And no one wanted my suggestion of just burning the boat to the ground and leaving. Yeah, we killed all the spiders. I may have made the encounter easier by casting Dragon's Breath on a familiar and just having the familiar breathe fire breath down a hole to kill everything. Or well, it was lightning breath. Because that works. Which is really dumb that works.
Yep. So...
And then we leveled up, and now we're heading to human lands. To buy a ship.
Adventure!
Because we have more money than we know what to do with.
That's both good and bad. Well, you know, it sounds like it's been adventure.
Also, like, I just want to bring this up because it's gonna get weird for my character. I already have resistance to fire from my class because I'm playing a homebrew class that Lightning and I made. I have immunity to fire now, just randomly. I don't know how that's gonna work out. I don't know how I'm gonna figure I have that out yet. I can swim in lava, I guess, if I really want to.
Welp. Wednesday. I had a game. Anybody else have one?
No, I didn't have any games on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. You got to meet a nice free captain in Buccaneers. He was relatively friendly. And he was sort of like, oh, hey, you know, this guy I've had like a pretty tumultuous relationship. You pissed him off. Good on you. I mean, well, it was like, he didn't know, but like when he saw stuff, he put two and two together. Word was, someone had stolen the man's promise, aka Barnabas Harrigan, and then Harrigan seems fuming that over the man's promise not showing up where he wanted it, so someone stole it from him. And he's like, I can see like what happened here. And then you stole some fish.
Yeah, we robbed some fishers, and we learned that every officer on a fishing boat has a +1 chain shirt. So
it's not going to be everyone.
That's how we're kitting out our ship.
I'll change some equipment around. I mean, the fishing one, maybe I should have just given him, like, masterwork chain shirt or something, honestly. I didn't even think about it, like, looking at the equipment list of that guy. I really didn't.
It's just like how all commoners have 200 gold on them at all times.
That's the problem, is that exists as a... That's the problem, is because, like, if you do it like you're supposed to, then yes, they do. But
it's so stupid.
It's terrible. That's why you're supposed to be, like, common sense.
That's why you don't just read from what the stat block says. The little loot page says.
Well, it's the thing is, for like the problem with this is they gave me a whole bunch of different boats with different crew complements, weapons, and stats, and then gave me like 4 generic stat blocks for all those different things for the like sailors, marines.
As it's written, canonically, every ship officer has a +1 chain shirt, no matter what the ship is.
I mean, that's where they spend all their money on.
Yeah, obviously. That's where they spend all the money from fishing.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, but honestly, it's
How much is a +1 chain shirt, actually?
It's 1,000, about.
Yeah, it's not that much.
No. Technically, I think it ends up being like 1,200 because a chain shirt's 50. Yeah. I remember this. And then 150 for the masterwork portion of it. So it's like...
Yeah.
You could get 600 gold for one apiece. It sounds like a lot, but Pathfinder is the system of it's expensive.
Pathfinder likes to give you money most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or things you can sell, like a trapdoor.
God. Honestly, this is a way to get some money, is to like rob the dude rather than his...
Stealing shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, again, like, stealing from him empowers you. Just stealing from him doesn't make your crew happy. They're like, well, we just got some fish. Great.
We did just steal fish. Like, well, we have food, so...
That got tossed into the water.
Yeah, apparently one of your characters just doesn't like other people's hats.
Oh, no, they very much like people's hats.
Revia already has the best hat in the world, so
See, they're trying to start a hat collection. Unfortunately, that hat apparently was didn't look good, so Revia just tossed it in the water.
Yeah.
This is not a suitable addition to my collection.
Yup.
I did actual pirating.
Yeah, I needed some actual pirating. And it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fun pirating. I like the boat. I like the ship-to-ship combat. Like, the boarding a ship, I think that's really cool.
Yes. So, I mean, like, the thing is, like, the ship-based combat is a little... It's
clunky.
It's a little clunky. I think it's, like, not the clunkiest, because I think this is, like, supposed to be the, like...
This is the simplified version.
It's still kind of clunky.
Specifically for this AP. I believe the one in the combat book is a lot longer and worse.
Yeah. It's sort of like... You at least have to make 2 proficient sailor checks. Whoever's at the helm, around, whoever's, like, controlling the ship... around, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's like sort of like you make a contested one to see who has the advantage, which gives you some like choices for maneuvering whoever gets the advantage. And then also then you get a maneuver and you get an attack and then you call it day, and you kind of, if you get up next to them, you can go for boarding.
Yeah. I think once we do it more, and once we have actual crew, the process will be a lot smoother.
Yeah, and you need an actual... Because the thing is, a single ship weapon doesn't really do a lot of damage. You need, like, banks of ship weapons, or actually a lot of them, for you to actually do enough damage for it to matter. Like, you attack the sails. Well, they've got, like, 100 hit points. How much did you do? 7. Well, this will take a bit.
Yep. That's why... it's important to have Marines and shit.
Yeah.
They can shoot them for you. And also, there's a feat chain that makes you really good at shooting boat weapons.
Mm-hmm.
It's the siege engine chain. It's a pretty good one if you want to shoot boat weapons. Or you just play the siege wizard.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was Wednesday. Oh, by the way, I found out what company it is. I don't know if they're active anymore. It was Soaring Rhino.
So close.
They haven't updated their website since 2019. And a really weird retweet of a quote on a tweet is the last thing that they have on their Twitter from December 7th. When the original tweet was. Well, it was a retweet by someone that was like quoting a tweet or like making a comment on a tweet. It's weird. So I have no idea what's going on with their company. It was Shifting Realms was very fun. They said their second one was coming out in 2019. Honestly speaking, it could have been delayed, and honestly speaking, the pandemic could have just killed everything.
Yeah, a lot of board game companies didn't survive.
I'm sure a lot of those small ones.
Yeah.
I think it's some of them. So, like, at least I have to say, like, a couple of companies that I liked kept around. Like, the people that did that game Wicked Apples, they're still around. Glad on them. I like their game, even though I've gotten that game and their other game that they had. They're both fun. So, some did. Oh, you know what survived, which I was actually surprised about because I saw them there? The D&D B&B.
Oh.
They actually had a really like interesting little like setup there, showing it off and like trying to get reservations and stuff.
Good for them.
Yeah, it's a weird place in Maryland where you can go to a bed and breakfast and also play D&D.
I feel like you could just do that at any bed and breakfast. Really.
Yeah, but I think like they like actually one of them like can be like your dungeon master or something.
That's
like,
cool.
They can, so it's like you don't have to have a dungeon master. They provide
pretty
one.
pretty neat.
Yeah, it was a neat little thing. And like if you do look it up, I can't remember the company name off the top of my head. Joe might remember, or he might have notes of it somewhere. They actually are in like a quaint little forest area and have like an aesthetic that does scream a little fantasy on the house. So I mean that helps too. They know what kind of stuff they had and they played up to it. Anyway, Thursday.
There's some games on Thursday.
There was.
Yeah, you guys fought a Shrine Maiden.
Yeah.
Whose stat block I totally didn't have messed up, and she was weaker than she was meant to be.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, she had a lower to hit than she should have had, and her second form, I forgot to put the legendary actions on, and was like, I'm too tired for this shit. I'll just use the excuse she didn't want to kill you.
I mean, that's acceptable. I didn't really want to kill her either. I'm like, I'm neutral good. I don't want to fight you. He's like, but your enemies will give you. I'm like, yeah, but I know when they're my enemies, and like, I'll take them alive if I have a choice. On that one, I just have a sword. I can choose to take people alive. I don't nuke people.
You just have a sword.
I'm a fighter. I just stab things, like, face tank enemies. I am a face tank.
You are, like, weirdly good at face tanking. That ability is somewhat annoying to deal with.
You're welcome. I'm just like, okay, just attack me.
Like,
come on, attack me.
It's such a cool ability, but it's a little annoying for me.
It's like, you have to attack me,
but
or you have
not
disadvantage.
like the most annoying thing that I'm gonna try to counter it, because I don't really care.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what happened. You just had a fight, basically.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And then
I think it was an alright fight.
Yeah. And then in Children of Wrath, you found a flying Thopter vessel, repaired it, explored around the area, learned a few things about geography, observed part of a horde of dragon engines waking up.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Mechagodzilla woke up. I mean, Thraxus.
I have a question about that session.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I don't do much because I'm a background character, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm the babysitter. I make sure they don't kill themselves too much.
Yeah.
The way things were going, it seemed like to me something was gonna happen to engage me into it, but I feel like something else happened to Kaz that was like weirder. Because he put the monocle on.
He put the monocle on.
And I feel like I've like, you really shouldn't have done that.
Look,
that's a bad idea, dude.
I did give them horribly, impossibly evil cursed objects from a witch that also are practical. The problem with the monocle is it does embed itself into your flesh, and also his senses aren't really made to process the information it's getting. I think that's the main issue with that entire thing.
Yeah, I did more than I usually do this session. I cast one spell. I cast Sending to Sass Carry.
Look, I will describe the basic idea of what was going on. You find the Thopter. You repair the Thopter. In the meantime, Thraxus is actually beginning its wake-up cycle, in which the first thing that happened is it's been gathering together mana energy from where it's at, basically siphoning it off from nearby area to basically fill its reactors. The pulses was like a call to also wake up the dragon engines.
Yeah, I got that part. I understood.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I got that because I kind of figured that was what was happening.
Yeah. They were really not interested at you because there was a call to them. Like, if you got close, they would have fought you or something.
Like, Carrion got blasted.
Yeah. But I also, like, just use them as basically, they're each, like, a CR10, so that's pretty deadly,
Yeah, it's pretty bad to fight all of them at once.
So that's why you have an army, because there are a lot of them, but, maybe 100 at a most. And if you have, armies, you could maybe take them.
Yeah, you may have, a monster's CR may be high. It can still be overwhelmed.
Yeah. So the thing is, that's why you've been assembling armies.
Economy is a thing.
Yeah. You've been assembling armies to probably overwhelm them, kind of like that. That's the idea that in the big battle. The idea is that the original island was just the area was just leveled. The kingdom that you're at technically was not... The mountain range didn't exist like it would have.
Yeah.
It was kind of going out to the land. There was a cliff area where the underground area led out to. But the thing is, once the spirit awoken and basically originally sealed off the land, the mountains kind of volcanically grew out of the ground around it. That's created
That
the
makes
lava.
sense.
So the cliff disappeared, the lava tunnels appeared in there, you know, the cavern kind of was a remainder of some stuff, you know.
It has been like multiple thousands of years.
And the thing is, this is an important thing that none of you know, that I don't know if you would learn, you could look into it. Thraxus didn't get defeated at Krug. He went on. It's just by random chance, the explosion which destroyed the continent flung him to the area where he's at now.
Nice.
He managed to survive.
I'm never going to look into that. I have 8 intelligence.
Yeah. But he survived that and basically does have, like, he's been, like, repaired by the constructs in him and some, like, he does have some self-repair things. There are some other things going on in the background that I will talk about at the beginning of next session, which I've kind of established. I think it's just that, like, I really don't know about Kaz's plan for just dropping some bombs on its back. I'm like,
I feel like that's not going to do anything.
it's like dropping bombs on Godzilla.
Yeah, it doesn't stop Godzilla.
Because the thing is,
Usually.
the lady was like, hey, its breath weapon is generated by some stuff in its throat that
Yeah,
would
you
be
need to-
exposed.
Yeah, throw the bomb in the throat.
She didn't think it would destroy that. She thinking it would only destroy the breath weapon. She's like, I don't think I can kill this. I think I can disable one of its main combat abilities, you know? That's her plan, was that. Kaz is like, we can blow it up. And I'm like,
No,
you're jumping to conclusions on that.
There's a few steps in between that and blowing it up we need to deal with.
So, yes, it is awake. You don't know why it's not doing anything. You didn't need to know why it's not doing anything right now. I know why it's not doing anything. Kaz had a check to maybe know. Guess what? He didn't make it. It's fine. That's why that one was locked behind a check. You don't need to know what it's doing if that's just sitting there. It's sitting there for a reason, though.
It's waking up after its nap. That's what it's
Well,
doing.
I mean, like, you do remember, it is rudimentary intelligence. So it probably has an int. It does a pretty low int, but it's probably got like 6 to 8. So it's waking up, figuring out what's going on, probably doing some other stuff too. You know, it's at least relatively smart in comparison to, like, the other Dragon engines had like 2 or 3. I don't think you can get Claude big enough, I'm going to say.
No, I don't think Claude can get big enough.
Claude can fortunately only get to huge. At most.
And this thing is bigger than any size category in 5th edition, I imagine.
I basically like Colossal Plus, it would be.
Yeah, that it doesn't have a size category in this system.
Yes. It was built to destroy a city that was supposed to be impenetrable. You know, that's kind of his existence. It is a living weapon of mass. Well, I guess in a way, living weapon of mass destruction. That was its point. So yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen, what they're planning.
I don't fucking know.
I'm going to try to be the voice of reason, and yeah.
My character's too dumb to be the voice of reason for this instance.
You can be the voice of wisdom, at least, maybe.
Yeah, I can be like, hey, that thing's big. That bomb's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Like we don't have a nuke.
They do have a nuke, but it might cause an after effect that's not great.
Yeah, they've got a lot of dangerous things they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
They gave a loaded gun to toddlers.
I mean, I really did, because Cass is like, if I'm ever going to die, I'm going to take the Duster Bomb, and I'm like, you do realize that might, like, create, like, a spatial rift, actually.
Destroy the plane.
Yeah, you know, that's probably bad to combine the Duster Box with your bag of holding. Really bad. I've constantly implied his bag of holding isn't a thing that is anathema to a degree of things. He found the trick for it, but they don't really have pocket dimensions the same way in Magic. Not that you couldn't create any, but just not in the same way. It's not a normal thing, or at least a usual thing. Still, Good times. And then Friday I went to a convention where I talked about what I did there already.
Yeah.
It was a fun time. Definitely. If I could get next year a bunch of people to come to PAX Unplugged, it'd be wonderful. Honestly speaking, like, because that's the thing is, like, I'm trying to tell the people, you can go, honestly, you can go cheaper than staying in Philadelphia. Staying in Philadelphia is kind of expensive. There's a train line in. You have a friend who lives in the area that has a car. If you want to stay at like a local hotel in one of the smaller cities outside of Philadelphia suburbs, and then take a $7 train in every day and save maybe $100 a night.
Like, next year would be much easier than it would have been this year.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the savings.
I mean, I didn't have a huge amount of savings too. It's just been, you know, a heck of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was our week in tabletop. We did things.
Yeah. Cool adventures. I will say, I think, just because I had a little bit of cold part of this week, I didn't really set up for monster movie. I'll definitely do it this week. I think at very least I've got Joe, and then if I don't find anybody else, I will probably default to the old group and see who wants to be involved. I'll ask a few other people. There's, you know, who knows? Maybe Umber feels like it. Don't answer right now. And you know, I don't know if you feel like it anyway. But no. I guess that's good for discussing tabletop. Honestly, you don't get to play a horse. I mean, at most you'd be a dude with like a sheep or cow. Those are on that island. I've told you, it's a strange island off of like the British coast where stuff is going on, and they might have a horse on the island, honestly, because they got some farms, but they got like sheep and cows. At least canonical to the movie, we know they exist from mention. You know, you are the single horse. Nay. Anything else I want to shout out? I should be back next week on the normal schedule. Children of Wrath will be having... We don't have any delays this week. I don't know about the week after that. We should be having this week Buccaneers of the Shackled Sea. Right? Because we're doing the next 3 weeks and then having a week off at the beginning of January, we're saying. Because we're going to be missing Cell this week, but we can do some more pirating. And then we're having a week with everybody right the week before Christmas, because Christmas is like the weekend. And then the week after that, we're missing Eric because he's getting married. But we can have a week off without Eric. And then we're going to have only 1 week off without Eric. So we're going to take a week off after that, so we don't miss him for 2 weeks. I think that's what we worked out on that one. I'm going to say Children of Wrath. That'll depend on... having next week after that, I don't know because of holiday stuff.
I don't think anything happens on the 23rd, but people travel, so...
That's what I'm thinking. People travel a lot of times. So people could be traveling. Like, personally, I don't do anything on... Look, I'm pretty easy. I could have stuff on the holidays, honestly speaking. I might actually start hitting people up for the old group for the 5th edition, that if anybody's around on... actually, I will say, I'm going to try to have another 5th edition crazy holiday adventure on Christmas Eve, on Friday.
I'll just say, I don't do anything for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I don't celebrate it, because I'm Jewish.
I do stuff in the middle.
Holiday.
Yeah. So for me, I it's more of a holiday than because of family rather than my own, you know,
yeah,
anything.
I mean, like, I might hang out with people because I do have the 25th off because the store's closed, so I can just chill and relax that day. It's pretty nice.
But yeah, so
I should be available for.
Yeah, I will look up who was in that old Merry Christmas group and hit them up. I'm gonna try to get that together for the 24th. Then another holiday adventure. Either same characters or someone could be different. It seems like it's been a year, so it's hard to remember the characters. Honestly,
I remember this character very well. I remember Umber's character very well.
I remember.
He's a perfectly normal boy.
You shoved an imp into your pants.
I did, in fact.
You were. I
Shove
don't
that
know how
imp
that.
right in there.
I don't know how that works because you're a halfling and
Yeah.
an imp is bigger than you.
Look, just don't ask too many questions about it, and nothing.
I
goes
also wasn't like wasn't also Lindsay playing a monk, but like also like an actual like monk, so she was agnostic, like, you know.
Also horribly depressed.
A horribly depressed friar who was a monk and had like this shaved head. It's like you're playing a monk, the agnostic one.
Satyr. I think Lightning was a dragon.
Oh yeah, Joe was a satyr, wasn't he?
Yeah, Joe was a satyr bard.
Oh god.
And I think Lightning was I want to say Dragonborn samurai.
Something like that. Oh god. It was an adventure.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get the same group together again. It would be great.
Fun fact: I still put my character from that one shot into other games.
I mean, like,
the character just sometimes shows up.
Honestly, I liked a lot of the characters. Like Lindsay's character was great. Was fun.
Character was so weird.
And
I loved it.
Joe's what's his name, like Fuzzy Bottom or something?
He was
he did a random satyr name generator, like Fey name generator, and that's what it gave him. And I'm like, it was meant to be, and it was so silly.
Hell yeah, I love that.
So yeah, I'll announce that, and I certainly will try to get some gaming streams in. My plans are right now, because I own most of it, I think I've said it, I'm going to play through a bunch of the Final Fantasy series. I'm going to do 7 Days to Die. The Alpha 20 is out now. I'm going to do a little bit of that. For the Final Fantasy, my first plans is I'm going to do the repixelated Final Fantasy 1. And then right after that, I might do the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer, because I've been wanting to maybe, like, I like randomizers, their idea, and the only ones I really know are the RPG ones, honestly. So I might do that one right afterwards, because then I would have at least, you know, a little bit more familiarity for playing through it once. Before I'm like, where's the treasure chest with the, like, key item I need to do this fuckery? Damn it. Did I check all the treasure chests?
It's like when you do an Ocarina of Time one, and you don't remember where all the holes in the ground are. I've seen looking for a fucking hour trying to find it.
I saw someone just once do a little bit of it, and I'm like, that is insane. There's all these holes, and like,
yeah,
what the?
I don't remember any of that shit.
Oh god, it's.
You can get away with the Link to the Past one, but
yeah.
not Ocarina of Time.
Well, you know, I think I saw, like, I've seen Lee do a few of them. Like, he did the Metroid Fusion one, which is a really interesting one, and I'm like. I like how the choices for, they randomize the major items and then the minor items, or they randomize everything. So then the boss might just have missiles, and where the missiles were is a key item.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Best way to play it.
Oh boy. So yeah, and then
there's a slight problem here.
Mm.
You mentioned Final Fantasy, and
don't you dare!
Have you heard of the award-winning, critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV that has a free trial and includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60 with no restrictions on playtime?
But Umber, you're forgetting one thing. No one can play the game right now.
Look, no offense to it, MMO is just not my thing. But my current idea for Final Fantasy is I'm going to try to do 1 through 6, because I've played 1, a bit of 4, which was 2 in the West here, because I did rent 2, and then 6 I played, because I owned 1 and 6. And then I will try out 2, 3, and 5, and see how things are going, and maybe call it, because they have infamy to them.
I have played 12 recently, and it's still pretty good.
I do want to do 12. I like
pretty
12
good.
a lot. 12, I'll do 7 because the remaster, the whatever the fuck it is called, isn't out yet. So I'll do original 7, and then I'm gonna skip 8 because, and then
it's cool.
9 because I did enjoy 9. It's a very different kind of game.
9 is the one with Vivi, right?
It's very classic Final Fantasy, and that's why I enjoyed it. You know. It varies very differently from 7 and 8. I think that's why it was kind of like weird for people. Then I'll do 10, and I do own 10 too, so I might as well just go into the 2 of those, because 10-2 is insanity and weird, but
Oh yeah, I've heard things about 10 and 10 too.
And I don't do 12 because I have 12, and I will skip 13 because it's an abomination. And I technically own 15 because I got it on like a 50% sale at one point in time.
Half of 15 is good.
I will find that out once I get to it.
That, he'll finally play 14.
I wouldn't put a fucking.
In
bet
defense,
on
Final
it,
Fantasy
dude.
14. I actually heard somebody describe it in a great way. Put to words better than I could. It plays less like. Part of the reason why it's so popular right now is it plays less like an MMO and more like a single-player, character-driven RPG that occasionally you have other people playing it with you. You can. There's definitely the MMO stuff there if you want to take part in it, but you can almost entirely ignore that and just enjoy the story. And it has the first segment, ARR, Realm Reborn, is a slog to get through.
It's questionable in writing.
Well,
and a bit too long.
Questionable. The thing is, Momo, you and I are coming at this from the perspective of we've played Heaven's Word and the rest of it. In regards to most MMOs, A Realm Reborn is still a better story than many. It's just that when you compare it to the expansions and how fucking good the storytelling, the writing, the voice acting, all that is, then ARR seems a bit lackluster. But if you get through all that and you get to the expansions, the stories are absolutely phenomenal.
Let me just ask you this, Tantus. Do you have 600 hours to spare?
I have 600 hours to spend on something else, though.
Yeah, there you go.
Honestly speaking, no. It's because I think what I'll do is I'm going to play through a lot of stuff, and if there's any kind of like grinding or off like stuff like that, I'll probably do that off stream. Just because I think that'll be better for certain things. If I feel like there's a need for grinding, I'll probably like do a couple hours.
There usually is in the older ones.
There is for now. Well, the thing is, I think for Final Fantasy 1, like from what I've heard, if I spend a little bit of time grinding right at the beginning for just a little bit, honestly, it's gonna, get most of the stuff done pretty well.
Yeah.
It's. I think a lot of people commented that the pixel remasters are the easy versions of most things, which I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't need like the particular like super hard the way they were originally. Like the original, like I don't know about the Final Fantasy 2, but like Final Fantasy 1, if things go a little faster and smoother, I'm fine with that. I like the game, but it is real classic.
Yeah, it's old. It's slow. It's old.
Mm-hmm.
I've not played much Final Fantasy. I've played 1, 12, like an hour of 13. I played all of 15, and I obviously just played 14.
Yeah. I'll probably like try to 90% things too, I'd say, if it's possible. Because like there's certain things like, honestly, like Final Fantasy 7, I can, when I played the original, I could get Knights of the Round, which is the big like super move. I could beat one of the 2 super secret end bosses that were before the end of the game. I could beat Emerald. Fuck me, I could not beat Ruby. I'm not gonna try it. I'm not gonna fuck around with that kind of shit. If I can't,
I'm fighting those in 14 currently.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Emerald weapon and Ruby weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weapons and stuff.
Yeah. So like, Emerald. Of the 2 bosses, that one you could fight. Ruby sucked. I'm actually curious. There's another little side note. If they're going to do more of those, they're redone games. What the fuck are they going to do for those bosses? Those were ridiculous fucking bosses.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to go back and just sort of play all of them. And since they are releasing them, I might buy some of them.
6 is the only one that's not finished. Say it's going to be out for the end of the year. That's the one I'm actually most curious about because 6 is, I guess, my favorite one, followed by 12. Honestly, I liked 12 a lot.
I was more into like Chrono Cross and stuff.
Well, there's plenty of other RPGs. I'll probably do there's other RPGs I can list that I'd love to play.
I recommend Chrono Cross because I think that's getting a remaster soon.
Oh, that'd be cool. You want game I recommend? I liked of the Breath of Fire series. I only played Breath of Fire 3. That's one I really liked. And I would recommend, because it's weird as all shit, Thousand Arms, because it's an RPG crossed with a dating sim.
I think I've played that.
It's for PlayStation. The entire idea is you're a special kind of blacksmith that has to have that needs the help of someone, and the more you're bonded with them, the more their help assists you. So basically, all these girls, you go on dates with them, and then once you've dated with them and increased like a compatibility with them, you forge more powerful weapons with them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have played that game before.
It is weird and wacky.
I had a lot of weird Japanese games.
But it was pretty good. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. I'll try to get some of that in this week. I will. If I come up with a full schedule that I want to do and I'm going to commit to it, I'll throw it up on the chat. Otherwise, I might, for the first couple of days, just play it by ear to see what's going on in, real life on my Monday and stuff like that, and Tuesday, and kind of work it out. So, everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. If I end up doing something, I'll see you then. If not, I will... maybe do something tomorrow, because I'm not doing tabletop driving, as I said, this week. Yeah, just keep playing things by ear. And you can see some of these great people that are with me. Thank you, Momo. Thank you, Umber. In role-playing games this week.
You can watch us be pirates.
Yeah. And one of you babysit some idiots.
One of me being the other brain cell of the party.
I mean, it's like...
Our party has 2 brain cells, and we share them between us.
No, they share one. I have the other one.
Yeah, they do.
Claude might have an extra, like, half of one.
Yeah, I think
Claude almost committed suicide.
Claude...
Like idiot.
Look, Claude has common sense in certain ways, and then other ways he just kind of opens his mouth and just does stuff. I think Claude's problem is Claude relies on Claude's abilities more than Claude should, and doesn't rely on...
Claude's a goo man who needs to shut up. Sometimes.
It's like, but I'm a goo man. It's awesome.
Made a goop.
And farewell, everybody. Bye.
Bye.